What's up guys, my name is Liam and today we're going to be doing an initial impressions video on the brand new G-Wolves HTR 8K. I've been really enjoying this ever since I got out of the box, and so far it's shaping up to be one of the best smaller shapes that I've ever used. But is this going to be the perfect gaming mouse for you? Let's check it out. Before we get started today, I did want to let you know that this was sent out to me. However, everything you will be hearing in this video is going to be my own words and my own opinions. Included inside the box, it does come with a bunch of goodies. It does come inside of this hard style carrying case. So a nice, cool holographic wolf right up here. There's some lettering down here. And here's a look of what the inside looks like. Also comes included with this guide right here, a set of 2 arm sleeves. These arm sleeves, they do actually have thumb holes in them, so you can use them with the thumb holes or without. I do believe some of the first units will be coming with this limited edition magnet. Another cool looking holographic postcard. 2 stickers for the bottom of the mouse. 2 additional sets of these PTFE skates, and then also a set of additional dot skates. A carrying strap for the case. 2 USB-C cables, one to plug into the dongle and the other one to charge the mouse. Some modeling clay for altering the shape of the mouse. It actually does come with 4 packs, but I did open up one of the packs and I was testing it out myself. And then here's a look of the wireless dongle. So it does have a transparent top and a rubberized bottom. So starting out over here on the bottom of the mouse, really cool design. This is a flat style base, so you could put any type of skates on here if you choose to do so, and you can clearly see the internal workings of this. So just as they did with the HTX, they are using the PCB to actually enforce the external structure and the strength of the shell. And then the power button just sits right down here at the bottom in the middle. The shell integrity on it has been very impressive. For as small and lightweight as this thing is, it honestly feels pretty much rock solid to me. Now, if I were to push with a point of my finger really hard on the holes on the side, you can get some bend there. This does not have any type of additional coating on here that I have noticed. It is kind of a grippier style feeling plastic though, so it's not smooth to the touch where it feels slip or anything like that. The buttons have felt pretty much more on the grippier end to me, but I did mess around with getting my hands wet, and if you were to get really sweaty hands or get your hands wet frequently, then the sides definitely do noticeably become more slippery. Making this video has been kind of nostalgic for me because when I very first started my channel, the first video I ever posted was I reviewed the G-Wolves HTX, and I was actually maining that mouse at the time, so it's been a long time since we've seen anything from them. And starting out with the clicks, they actually really have improved the click feeling a lot on their mice. Now this does come with the Huano blue shell pink dots in here, which for those of you that watch my channel know that those are my favorite switches. And the tolerance on my clicks, they really do feel lightweight, snappy, and fantastic. As you can see that there's almost no pre-travel, and even the post-travel on here feels fantastic. Coming up at the very tip, you do get just a slight bit of pre and not a whole lot of post there, so I really feel like they've done a really great job with the tolerances on this. The click implementation all the way from front to back, I would say once you get about up here, it feels pretty normal all the way down to the bottom. If you come up to the very tip right here, which I'm not sure if anybody would really play up here, it does get a little bit more stiff, but again, from here up, it feels pretty even in weight. And the buttons on this, they just really feel great. Like the tolerances on them, look how stiff those are. There's like no movement there at all left to right on my copy. So really solid job with the clicks on this, and they really do feel about as good as it gets. I'm also a huge fan of this scroll wheel too. It is a thinner style scroll wheel, and thankfully they still included a rubberized ring on it, so it is grippy. This is a little bit stiffer on the steps, and you do notice the steps there, but I honestly like it. It's very easy to distinguish the steps, and I don't feel like the scroll wheel is too loose or anything like that. So tensioned very nicely, and the center scroll click a little bit on the stiffer end, but nice and easy to press and spam while you're using it in game. I've also been really enjoying the side buttons on here as well. Even though you can see they're on the smaller end, just no matter where you click them from, there's just very minimal pre-travel. So very lightweight and snappy. When you push them in, you do hit a nice solid wall in the post travel, and there's practically no rocking side to side on the front or the rear. So all around, the feeling of this in the hands and the build quality, especially on my unit, feels fantastic. So let's just go ahead and drop a click and quality sound check. This does come included with a 250 milliamp hour battery inside, and I feel like they've done a really great job at spreading out the weight and making it nice and even across the board. So very balanced and on my scale with the dot skates. Looks like I got it coming in at approximately 28.4 grams. They are using this brand new web-based software that you can access through their website. And once you come in here, it was really easy to make adjustments to your DPI. And I set the pulling rate to 8K. A couple of things that I do want to note about using this software is when you're messing around with the click debounce setting here, even if you put the slider all the way down to the bottom, I do recommend coming up here and enabling this DIY tab, because when I first got this out of the box, even though I had the click debounce at the lowest setting, once I enable this, this allows you to see the exact milliseconds of the click to bounce. And I did notice that it was set at 2 milliseconds. So by enabling this, you are able to drop this down to a 0 millisecond click to bounce to ensure you are getting the lowest click latency. And then another thing that I do recommend is you come up here to this little arrow, and once you press this, this allows you to have additional options. One thing that I was able to verify as I've been using the 8K pulling rate with this mouse, if you are using motion sync with 8K, you're going to have a less stable pulling rate. So I do highly recommend disabling motion sync when using this in 8K. So these are all the settings that I have been using while gaming with this mouse that seem to work out best for me. The wireless performance and click latency of this mouse are all top tier. They've been absolutely fantastic. I have been kind of behind in work and so much have been piling up. So you're going to see some numbers on this chart that I have not previously talked about. Since the click latency results are so close with the 1K, 2K, 4K, and 8K pulling rate, I just added them up, divided them by 4 to get an average. And this is the average that I'm currently getting out of this mouse. They really have done a fantastic job with the shape of this. And some of the most notable things about it is how high up the front end of this mouse is. There is some nice curve to the side profile here as well, so it's not too straight or flat filling. Even up here in the front on the right hand side, you can see it actually does have quite a bit of height to it. So the height and the filling of the front of this mouse is one of my favorite things without question. And another thing is this hump right here. They did place this pretty high pointy hump for this type of a mouse. So personally, my favorite way to grip and use this mouse is using a knuckle claw grip. And let me explain that to you. So if you were to put these side by side and just kind of pay attention to the top half here, you can kind of see what you're looking at in terms of size. Stacking these next to each other, you can see the height of this. So the height over here on the G-Wolves mouse is actually a little bit taller, even up here in the front. How I grip the mouse is I kind of grip it almost a little bit more up here at the front. So something kind of like that. I kind of align my pinky with the sensor right there. And this is mostly how I'm using the mouse. And as you can see, I do get some stability with the bottom of my palm right here. And there kind of is a gap right here at the top of my hands, but you can push down and claw that mid hump if you chose to do so. So doing the same thing over here on the HTR, basically if I were to stick my hand down flat like this and curve in my fingers. So by curving in my fingers like this, what it actually does is if I were to just grip the mouse like this, like to cup my hands, I actually have to cup them quite a bit more. And it does kind of add some fatigue and kind of cramp up my hand a little bit. So typically what I do is if I start like this, I kind of krill out my fingers like that. And by krilling out my fingers, it allows me to still grip the mouse and kind of keep my palm a little bit more flat. So I don't get a whole lot more fatigue there when I am gripping it. So my grip on this mouse looks something kind of like this as I'm using it. And by using it this way, it does give you free range of motion with your fingertips. You can even give kind of a little bit more of a relaxed style of a grip. But again, something like this is just kind of how I've been gripping the mouse and using it. And as you can see here with this hump, when I said a knuckle claw grip, what I'm able to do here is as I'm pushing down on this, if I need any type of added stability, then I could just push into this with my knuckles to come to a quick stop or anything like that. So it really isn't a whole lot further from how I would grip something like the Finalmouse. I just don't have it touching the bottom of my palm right here. You just got to kind of get the feeling of it being used to just kind of sitting up in your fingers right there. But just finishing it off, looking at it again next to the Finalmouse all the way around, here's what the bottom, the rear, and what the actual height difference on the side looks like. So before we jump in the comparison of the smaller mice, let's throw it up against the Zaopin Z1 Pro. So this is more of an egg-shaped style mouse. So looking at the curve profile up here on the front, as you can clearly see, there is some similarities here when I do put these together up in the very front. But here is a look of what the rear of these mice look like. And then here's another shot of looking at them from the side. So next up, when comparing it to the HSK Pro, I actually did put a lot of time on this mouse. And as you can clearly see here, the HSK Pro just all around feels like a much smaller mouse. It does have a much lower front end. So even though I did use this quite a bit, the one thing I did struggle about with this is I wasn't able to really move my fingers up more towards the front or anything like that, just with how low that profile is. So you can clearly see that all around that the HTR is just going to be a bigger mouse. It is obviously more narrow in the back, where this one is quite a bit more wide, but here is a look of the dimensions of them next to one another. And finally, when looking at this next to the HSK Plus, I do feel like the size of these is very similar to one another. We'll start out here at the bottom, but the rear of the mouse does feel a lot more wide, and it does make the HSK Plus feel a bit bigger in the hands. But here's a look at them from the front, and again, notice the side profile here with the height on this mouse. But looking on them from the rear, you can see that this does fill up your hands a lot more and feel much bigger, where this does get more narrow. But on the side, looking at the hump height profile between both of these, there's some similarities there, but again, with the width of the HSK Plus, it does make it feel like it's a bit larger the mouse compared to the HTR. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up on the G-Wolves HTR. I really do feel like G-Wolves has knocked it out of the park with the design of this mouse. Everything about the feeling of it, the clicks, the weight, it really is a fantastic mouse to use. Do keep in mind that this is very clearly a very niche mouse. It's not going to be for everybody. I can't recommend it to everybody. If you have had experience with a smaller mouse in the past, or you do know what to expect, I can absolutely recommend you guys checking this out. But do know that if you've never tried a mouse that's this small before, it is going to be very different. It can be hard to get used to, so you will have to give some time to adjust to it, but not everybody will be able to do so. And even though personally I have got the size of this mouse to work out for me, I do feel like I like the shape so much, it would be cool to see a plus version of this in the future. If I can get this probably about 20% larger, I kind of feel like it would give you a little bit more freedom on different ways you can relax and grip the mouse a little bit more comfortably for my hand size. And as always, if you guys are interested in my hand size, I always include that at the very bottom of the description of all my videos. So if you do have any other questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed watching this video, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.